coach Jim Mora. Coach, if you could just start us off with an opening statement.
Good to get a win, and you know, like every coach would say, there's a lot we have to work on, a lot we have to get better at, a lot of improvements we have to make. What I didn't like was the way we started the game. It's not characteristic of what we want to be. What I did like is the way they responded to what I thought was a pretty poor start by us. So we were able to get a lot of guys in the game. I think that experience is going to benefit us down the road. We played 3 quarterbacks. We played 5 running backs. We probably played 7 or 8 receivers. And that experience is really important for those guys. So big challenge this week with Syracuse. And, you know, I think we come out of this healthy. For the most part, we're concerned about Malachi, who went down. Malachi is in the UConn health system. He's at the hospital right now in Farmington, so we know he's in really great hands, but we are concerned about him. It's nothing that's life-threatening like that. It's just that they're going to be very, very careful with him, which is what our doctors do. They take care of our players. So, any questions? No, it was not a head injury, no.
How does Skylar, it felt like you mentioned, kind of a sloppy, a little bit slow start, but that Skylar, the 80-yard touchdown, I mean, that play will light a team up, but
yeah.
What's about him that can make those plays happen so much?
Well, he's fast and he's elusive, and he plays with great passion and energy. He knows what to do. He's got a big play mentality. And if you look at the way he's worked this summer, this off season, and his body looks different. I mean, he's much more physical. You know, he's gunned up. His legs are bigger. He's more sturdy. But he didn't lose any of his elusiveness. He didn't lose any of his speed. And, you know, he's a guy that Joe has a tremendous amount of trust in. We do as coaches. We want to get the ball in his hands when things aren't going the way we want them to go. You know, feel that way about Cam Edwards, too. You know, those are 2 guys you go, hey, if we get the ball to them, something good is going to happen. And, you know, you love having a Skylar Bell on your team because you can count on him.
You talked about having maybe the best set of skill players that you've had since you've been here, and they all seem to chip in. Like you said, Cam was there, Mel Brown had a decent game, Joe had a good game.
Well, and you could go on, you know, you're getting Oliver in there, and then MJ, you know, Chris Parker, Jackson Harper, you know, John Nider was in there at receiver, Juice. I think those guys all contributed. You know, in the past there were times when you would have certain players you needed to have in there at certain points in the game, or you didn't necessarily feel like the play was going to be as successful as it was drawn up to be. And now we've reached a point, I believe, hopefully we, you know, I'm right here, that we can have different players in and not have to worry about who's in, you know, because we feel like there's enough depth that guys can go out and produce in any situation. Backup guys that aren't listed as starters. We don't necessarily call them backup guys. They're just not, they don't go out with the first 11.
Coach, you talked about the slow start and how you guys responded. Was it more what they were doing, or was it mistakes that you guys were making that created their stuff?
It was us. It was first play, tackle for loss. Fortunately, they had a penalty when the guy's helmet came off and he continued play. So that gave us first down. We had a drop on 3rd down. Then we come out and we snap it over to the head of our punter. They score. We get a kickoff return to put us back in field goal range. We have a hold. That's on us. We have a false start on 1st and 10. That's on us. Okay, we break one for a touchdown when Terrence breaks it, and we have another hold. So those are just self-inflicted wounds. You know, I think in the first 10 minutes we had 5 penalties, which is not characteristic of us. Or, well, it is now because this is a new team, but of what we are trying to be. So those are things that we have to be much better at, and we'll work hard at it. But, you know, like I said, there's a lot to be learned in success, and there's things to be learned when you have adversity, and that's how is your team going to respond when it doesn't happen exactly like they think it's going to happen at the start of a game. You know, are they going to become flustered, or are they going to stay focused? And we were able to stay focused.
It was exciting to see a lot of big plays. What does it say about the execution of your offense, the ability of your offense to have 80-yard plays, 70-yard rushing plays?
Yeah, I think, you know, like we said, I believe we have pretty good playmakers, you know. I mean, it'll be a true test this week, you know, going against a team like Syracuse, who, you know, I even though the score was close last year, I felt like they beat us pretty handily. You know, we scored late to make it a 7-point game, but the way that game started was not good for us. So having some guys that have some confidence coming out of this game and that we've seen be able to make big plays, I think that's a real positive for us.
Jim, how much, I don't know if you and your staff have looked
We have not.
Okay.
We haven't looked at them at all.
What type of a challenge does playing a team, though, of that caliber, of that physicality present versus what you start with?
Well, I mean, listen, I have great respect for Central Connecticut State University. So they were my first game at the Rent 3 years ago. And that team today looked completely different than the team we played that day. This team that we played today was bigger. They were more physical. They were very well coached. They played hard. You know, so I don't want to necessarily make a comparison between them and Syracuse other than to say that, you know, Syracuse is a little bit different level of football than CCSU, and as they proved last year at that point, than us. So we want to narrow the gap, and we want to do all we can to put ourselves in a position to win, but it presents a great challenge for us, which is what we embrace, and we want that challenge. I mean, what competitor doesn't want that challenge? But they're going to be big, they're going to be physical, they're going to be experienced, they get to play at home, but that's what's exciting, is having that opportunity to go play a team like that.
The back there.
You had said earlier in the week that you have to see your defense in game mode to know what they were all about, how many cases. Kind of what your takeaways from that performance.
I was not satisfied with the way we played in the first half. I felt like we were very, very tentative. I felt like guys were either not doing their job or trying to do too much. I didn't think we tackled well. I didn't think we were playing downhill. I thought we were on our heels a little bit, not up on our toes attacking. So there was a sense of disappointment. I felt like in the second half we were much better, but we're light years from where we need to be. But having a game where we can go in and look at the film, and we're playing a different offense than we see every day in stores, going against our own team, it'll really help us grow. But we've got to make sure that we make the corrections, and those corrections are applied, and we move forward as a more violent, aggressive, cohesive defensive unit.
You talked a lot about Diamande during the week, and I know you haven't looked at the film, but I was wondering if you maybe had an eye on him a little bit and had first impression.
I didn't notice anything. You know, I wish I'd have noticed more. And I think as we go through the year we will, because I think he's a good player. I believe he's going to be a really good player. But I felt like we were soft up the middle. You know, I felt like they were able to run the ball on us, and that's not who we can be. That cannot be something that people think they can do to us. But I can guarantee you, Syracuse is going to look at that film and they're going to try to run it right down our throat. I mean, I would if I were them. So we've got a major challenge in front of us, and fortunately, we got a bunch of really good coaches, and we got a bunch of really great kids that want to be good, and they will work as hard as possible to be good.
Last one here.
Can you just talk about your own running game, 250 yards today, and at times your offensive line opened up some nice big holes?
Yeah, you know, we didn't run the ball well early, I didn't feel, the first couple of drives, but Skylar, making that play helps you. That, it takes him out of just being able to stuff the box. But running the football is something we're going to stick with because we believe that we're good at it and we understand our run scheme, and we know that if we just keep pounding up in there that we've got guys that can break it, like Cam did, like those other guys did. So we're not going to be stubborn, to the point if it's not working, we, stick with it to the point of, making a mistake in terms of our ability to adjust in the game because we can throw the ball. But, it's my firm belief that in order to win football games consistently, you have to be able to run the ball. But you can't be stubborn about it. So today was good. We struggled a little early, and we kept it going. We threw the ball. We spread them around a little bit. We were pretty balanced, and then we were able to break some runs.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Players will be right in.